Alright guys, Supreme Kami here and gonna be doing the review for the big scale Penelope here. So I am just gonna be recording this one literally after I recorded the one for the Liberta here. So I do want to show you guys some of the stuff here. So in terms of armor, in terms of the base scale Penelope, it is actually quite high. So everything besides head is breaking at 10k. So that is very impressive. But not as high as, let's say, the one that released last week, the new Gundam. I think that one is like pushing even further than what we're seeing here. So yeah, but honestly, this one being a big scale, it is definitely going to be providing a lot as well. In terms of the overall word tag, we are going to be able to find exclusive Gundam type, high firepower, and then Federation. So definitely a good variety of options in terms of what type of way you want to build it. So like Gundam type, high firepower, definitely a very good third option, and then Federation is definitely a sneaky good option as well. In terms of that, I think that's pretty much it. Something to note: this one does have access to big scale because we do have one for the original, like what is it, the S attribute. So keep that in mind as well. So jumping back into the head part, since this one does have alternative attribute, so you are immediately going to be able to gain that 6% all power boosting, and then 2% damage mitigation if you meet the requirement that you have 12 of the length points, and then if you have the original attribute. So those are going to be the two conditions, and then when you do fulfill them, you can basically gain some additional power boosting. So honestly, just being big scale and having alternative attribute does have that, you can say, benefits and all that. But I know not a lot of people like those, alternative attribute. They don't like recycle and all that. But yeah, if you guys want to be able to take just a smidge more, these are going to be the parts that is going to be able to push beyond what they are normally doing on their part traits. So let's actually get started on the Penelope. So overall, I'm just gonna say this one is just a very generic, a little bit more modernized beef the portrait. You're not gonna find anything too spectacular that is gonna give you like that, oh my gosh, I gotta have it. Unlike, let's say, the Liberta, I think this one is just the polar opposite. It's just a very standard modernized shooting based build. It's just meant just to offer that big scale property, if I want to call it. But there's definitely some few utilities that you guys can definitely find within the Penelope. So let's actually get started with the head part. So yeah, the overall stat is going to be as follows. So pretty good armor. This one is definitely, it feels like a normal part because the stat is just kind of like, a little bit more centric towards that shot attack, centric towards a little bit of that shot defense. So in terms of the 40% change gear, definitely going to be able to live up to his expectation. High firepower, and then ace exclusive for the word tag. In terms of the portrait, it's going to be something that I kind of complain about in terms of the Liberta. This one is going to be continue the trend of locking you to only using, like, you have to be running those active vortex, ace exclusive, and then high firepower. And then I did mention once again, if you are not running high firepower, which I know is a very common word tag, but let's say for whatever reason you don't want to run that, you want to do ace exclusive commander and then Gundam type, you're just not going to be able to benefit from that secondary portrait, which kind of sucks. I kind of wish that they have like a different condition. This insane right to just lock is like 2 or 10 locking is probably the worst thing possible. But in terms of what it's offering, it's pretty good. You do have some initial squad charge plus 18%, so that's definitely really powerful. It's not enough. Just 18% by itself is not going to be enough for you to cast like a good casting EXQ. So kind of keep that in mind. So in terms of solo content, you would definitely want somewhere around 20 to a 25%, and then you're set. So this one is primarily set to be used in a squad situation where your other ally may have some of these initial squad charts as well. In that respect, you like this one max out, and then plus whatever your ally might have, definitely going to be able to offset that differences. Secondary portrait definitely really powerful. It's going to be that new mechanics. What is it? That enemy shooting damage plus 40%. So it's definitely really good. So for those that are still confused, your enemy is not gaining that damage percentage right there. You're actually doing that much damage to them. So kind of keep that in mind. It's just how they're wording it. I know it's a little bit confusing, but I mean, it's been out for probably this type of specific language since the change. It's been out roughly for like maybe more than 2 weeks already, so I'm pretty sure everywhere within the internet, YouTube, Facebook, Reddit, I think they have been circulating about this portrait. Some may be misinformation, some may be like legit accurate with like actual testing, like jotting down all this information. So it's out there, right? It's not like an unknown portrait, so you just got to be careful what kind of information you're listening to, and that you don't get you don't get, let's say, mislead into thinking, oh, this is actually a bad portrait. But on the other hand, having these portrait in conjunction with our regular power boosting trait is gonna make a phenomenal combo. So just want to address that real quick. But other than that, it's pretty solid. Do wish that it was a little bit higher, but as a squad using, definitely really solid. Would I really want that, for example? Probably not. If I were you guys, if you're talking about, oh, let's say that new portrait, I might actually go for something that's that's literally we've been having. Let's say the strike freedom right there. How about that? This one does give you literally the same thing. So let me change that to the new language. I have not updated my sheet. I still have the same language, so I'm gonna put that to damage and then plus. Yeah. So strike freedom is literally doing the same thing already, and this one does have its own initial charge boosting, so that's good. This one is being selfish, but honestly, if you talk about solo content, strike freedom is definitely gonna be your best bet possible. So yeah. All right, so moving over to the torso, let's see what we're doing. So style wise, gonna be a swallow. It's pretty good on the roster, so definitely no complaints on that. What about the portrait? Wow, we have some pretty 19 or not 19, excuse me, 11.9. That's really high for armor right there, so that's good. These defensive wise, we are breaking that 10k as well, so that's definitely really good to see. Wartime wise, ace exclusive, and then high firepower again. And what about the portrait? Okay, so this is definitely something that is not strange to us. We have been getting a lot of these EXQ cooldown on the torso part. Namely, we have one for the new Gundam. We have one probably somewhere down here as well, like the Cassie. This one is actually just a tad lower in terms of the percentage, so I'll definitely go for the Penelope as well, just because in terms of the upgrading time, like you just want to max out 20%, you probably can dip it down to portrait level 8 and then you're pretty much complete. So this one is definitely very powerful. And this one is not even locking you to like a specific condition, just being ace exclusive, so probably something you 100% up the time activating anyways. And wow, look at that second portrait. They're actually pumping out to a 50%, so power creep is definitely inevitable for sure. So overall, pretty good. If you guys do still want to invest into these cooldown reduction type parts, this one being the Penelope definitely does make up that big difference. But on the contrary side, if you guys start working on something of this caliber, like you don't want to change anything, I think that's fine as well. Just because in terms of comparing what we have lately, is pretty much just 23% compared to like 23% initial, like those EXQ cooldown plus a 40% either EXQ boosting or just shooting / melee. So you're not losing, you're losing only 10%, but that 10% is only abysmal. So in total, like in actual practicality, you're not missing much. So I wouldn't really go out of my way to exchange something for like this right here, like Banshee is still good, this one here you're only missing out 10%, which is not that big of a deal in a way. So yeah, if you guys do have something worked on already, definitely do not invest into this one. But if you guys are starting new, you want to get on something that's quick and easy, definitely do start off with this one, because this one is giving out a 30% shooting power already, so definitely a very good start. 10% EXQ cooldown we do, so not bad as well. So let's move on to the arm. Alright, so in terms of the arm part, that is going to be the following stat distribution. So pretty high on the list, obviously add alternative attribute, big scale, you name it. So pretty good. And then yeah, in terms of overall roster ranking, fairly high, so that's always going to be good to see. 10k for the armor, and then the overall stat distribution are going to be a swallow. So definitely a very leaning towards a shooting build, so that's good to see. Warranty wise, you are going to be shifting to that Federation, so okay. I don't think, okay, so the original one is ace exclusive and then high mobility, so yeah, you wouldn't really want high mobility on your shooting based build, right? So yeah, in terms of the flight unit combo, so they haven't really done much in terms of doing anything with this one. They did pump up the power modifier, so that's pretty much as expected for just power creep, etc. I believe in terms of the shot attack, I do want to compare that real quick now. I want to compare what is the original one, so we're gonna do arm parts. We are gonna filter the series by the Hathaway Flash, which is that one right there. So comparing to the original one, let's see how much of a difference are we talking about. So, oh, okay. So they actually bumped up the actual shot. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. This part, yeah, that was the crazy part. They boost melee and no health recovery, while now the new one is actually properly boosting a shot attack. So that's good, and also does give you a health recovery. So that's good. That's definitely a very solid condition or the effect. So no complaints. So not bad. In terms of altering it, yeah, like the overall Penelope is gonna look so big after alteration. So if you guys do want to go the extra mile and have your build look extremely funny, definitely go for the alteration. But other than that, the CX skill at base should be fine just as it is. So I believe prior to alteration, it should only be 8 power. And then after alteration, it should bump it to S power. I think that's how it works for those that goes up to like SS minus. So you definitely lose out in some sort of power if you don't alterate it. But if you don't want your EX skill to look kind of lopsided or your arms to look a little bit lopsided, kind of do at your own discretion in a sense. But yeah. All right, so let's move on to the leg section now. Let's see what we have. Leg part is going to continue to have some pretty good armor, obviously. So yeah, that's going to be the trend. Pretty good overall, like just for the shot department, definitely really solid. So it is going to land into the top 3 at the moment. So that's pretty good. This one is going to be the same old missile or funnel missile. Going to be an A plus and then B plus for the power. Wow, that's pretty strong. Over Vortex, you do have Ace exclusive and then Gundam type. So honestly, this one is not really much to talk about except for big scale. So it does offer a lot of good supporting type, for stats and etc. This one I will definitely try to implore you guys to find a good sub slot. Namely, if you're trying to look for something that's good, maybe consider about the new Gundam if you guys are able to pull that. This one sub slot into this one, just a perfect combo, or you can sub slot that into the strike freedom as well. It's pretty much however you want to do it. I'll definitely put this one on the main slot just because it does have a link attribute, so you can gain that 6 power boosting on the main slot. But other than that, you guys will definitely see some other noticeable one that has Ace exclusive and then Gundam type. So those are pretty much going to be your best option in terms of subslotting. But if not, you guys can definitely just do one or the other. Gundam type pairing something else, and then Ace exclusive pairing something else, and that you will still get a fairly substantial subslot bonuses right there. So not bad overall. So if you guys are planning to archer this one, this one definitely does provide you some good stat. So not bad overall. But in terms of just the EX skill itself, even an archery, I do want to check now. So I do want to see if an archery version can still hit SR. Maybe not. Maybe it's only a C power. Yeah. So this one is gonna be one of those situations. Yes, the EX skill is gonna be like this EX skill. I personally do like it. So alteration does make it stronger for sure. So this is probably gonna be the one that I say EX skill wise. Do make sure you alterate it because it is definitely gonna be lacking some substantial power difference right there. So, all right. So moving over to the back part now. So going to be continue the trend of just having some pretty good armor overall. So that's not bad to see. Defensive stat almost breaking Heki, so that's also good to see as well. Warrior wise exclusive and then Gundam type right there. So this one is actually a brand new EX skill. We have a turn flight maneuver. So this one is actually not a bad EX skill. If you are swarmed by like a group of enemy, this one does have the ability to kind of move on to the next target if you are able to finish one. So granted, if your build is really beefed up, you have some pretty good power boosting traits and etc. And this one does output good damage. You can literally take out maybe like a few enemies. I don't know to the full extent of like how long the duration lasts in terms of EX skill, but I did find it very interesting that it does target different enemies. So pretty good overall. So no complaints. This one, like I said again, does make a very good subside to just anything out here. I think one that kind of came in my mind is maybe, can I even find it here? That should be the Wayne Gundam right here. Makes exclusive and the Gundam side, so you definitely do have your pairing. But in my opinion, I will be using this one, the Wayne Gundam Zero Endless Power, the power attribute. Just this right here, the cuts, not cut anymore, but damage. This part just does immense more damage than what it is before. So yeah, there's definitely some good option for subslotting this one, like something into this one. So yeah, overall not bad. If you do want to alterate it, just do kind of make sure you do have some pretty good subslot opportunity, just anything out here. So yeah, pretty good overall. And last but not least, we have the new beam rifle. So man, that beam rifle looks very good. Like I wish I was able to pull the beam rifle, but obviously not not a chance. So in terms of beam rifle, even though it does have some pretty good shot defense, it's just not gonna be able to cater up into the upper echelon right here, so that's pretty unfortunate. But this one, in terms of the condition or portrait wise, we do have another EXQ cooldown reduced by 23%. So this one is literally copy and paste to the original one, like the very first new 7-star unit, like way back in December, something like that. That's gonna be the Hakashiki Kai. That beam rifle, I believe, does something of this caliber. So obviously this one has, as time ages, gonna be better because this one is a squad boosting. But on the contrary side, I do not like the HP restriction on that one. If the HP restriction was on the actual EXQ cooldown, I would definitely say no, because like falling below 90% is probably the easiest thing to do. Like, let's say if you're running, let's say the multi-mission boss with Felicia, or let's say even the launcher strike, if they launch that beam attack on you, in terms of the Reflesia, if they sneeze that beam attack on you, you're literally falling below 90%, 100% of the time. That happened to me when I used the new Gundam like EXQ, because that one is ties into like a 90% right there, 90% or more. So I noticed, like, I was like, oh my gosh, I barely took a tad of damage and I fall below that threshold. So no, if it was opposite condition, I would definitely say this is a very bad condition. But since the cooldown is intact to the attribute, so that's pretty much okay, but not really okay at the same time, because they need to stop making range weapon to only service for P attribute. We need it for some other attribute as well. But other than that, this one is still a very solid option because you do have a squad EX skill power boosting, so definitely gonna be some beneficial things. But overall, in terms of the Penelope, I wouldn't say there's like a must for, like you must osprey. I think everything that we find within this overall kit, it's just very generic. It's just more beefed up version of like after the 4.0 update. So there's not really much unique. There's just not a lot of like, oh, it's really good in a sense. But overall, I mean, like, they do have to release Penelope at some point because we do have the big scale Cassie already, so it just fitting, right? But I'll definitely say, if you compare the Cassie to the Penelope, Cassie definitely is better because it does have option to, let's say, command attack. So that's still something to this day we are heavily lacking on. But with that being said, that is going to be pretty much it in terms of the Alteration review for the big scale Penelope. So I will be catching you all on the next one.